Members of the media fraternity, members of the MMD, particularly members of the NEC who are with me here, and of course some of our supporters at the back. Ladies and gentlemen, I warmly welcome you to the Party Secretariat of the MMD, to this press conference that is being held to address a number of issues. The statement that I'm reading is going to be about 25 minutes, and I'm sure that you'll bear with me, given the fact that we as MMD do not regularly hold press briefings, and there are a number of issues which we have to speak to. Specifically, I am speaking on the following issues. Number one, the allegation that our President, Dr. Sekwila Mumba, referred to the United Party for National Development as a regional party due to their failure to attend the Umutomboko Traditional Ceremony. Secondly, the attack on Dr. Mumba by UPND President, Mr. Hakainde Hichilema, that was broadcast during the 0645 news bulletin on Radio Phoenix on the 31st of July. Fourthly, the attack again on Dr. Mumba by the Patriotic Front Secretary General, Mr. Kabimba. And lastly, the alleged mocking of Home Affairs Deputy Minister Honourable Nixon Chilangwa at an MMD rally. We wish to deal with these matters because silence implies guilt on our part and gives credence to many false allegations made against the MMD leadership. In the last week, we have all seen the screaming headlines that have painted a picture of disunity and squabbling amongst the opposition political parties. Our purpose today is to bring some clarity and put an end to this unfortunate circus. But before I go into the substantive matters as outlined, I wish to announce that following my election as National Secretary of MMD, the position which I held previously, that as Communications Director in the Office of the President, has been vacant. And some of the issues that I will be dealing with today, ideally, are supposed to be dealt by the Communications Director in the Office of the President. As a result of this, Mr. Raphael Nakachinda has now been appointed as Communications Director in the Office of the President to replace the position I previously held. This is in keeping, he will be keeping his portfolio as Special Assistant in the President's Office, but with the additional responsibility of being Communications Director, to be able to fill that gap. At the end of this press conference, he may make a few comments, because in some of the issues which I'm addressing, he was actually present together with the President where these events were taking place. The UPND is a regional party, and as an article in the Post newspaper. The Post newspapers published an article on the 31st of July, 2014, in which it was alleged that MMD President Dr. Mumba referred to the UPND as a regional party due to their failure to attend the Umutomboko ceremony of the Lunda people. The Post article was derived from a telephone interview that Dr. Mumba gave while he was at the Umutomboko ceremony and began as follows, the quotations from the story. The absence of the UPND at most northern region traditional ceremonies categorizes them as a regional party, says MMD President Mumba. We wish to categorically state that Dr. Mumba never made such a statement. The Post had conducted an interview with the Umutomboko Organizing Committee Chairman, Mr. Mishek Kaoma, who was reported to have lamented that UPND leaders have not attended the Umutomboko ceremony for 3 years. Later on, in referring to the above statement, a Post newspaper reporter, Ms. Tigenje Mwanza, asked Dr. Mumba some general questions about traditional ceremonies and the failure by some political parties to attend them. In answering, Dr. Mumba stated that it is not possible for political parties to attend every traditional ceremony in Zambia. That is what he said. It is not possible for political parties to attend every single ceremony in Zambia. But that it was, however, important to be tribally inclusive in the ceremonies that you attend. At no point did he refer to any political party, either by name or indirectly. At no point whatsoever. The actual question he was asked was to state his message to political parties that never attended traditional ceremonies in Luapula. Dr. Mumba answered by saying that Zambians are watching their leaders to see which ones are national leaders and which ones are regional leaders. He added that a national leader should go to key traditional ceremonies in order to stay in touch with the people and demonstrate that cultural events are important. Clearly, Dr. Mumba has been falsely accused based on the erroneous misrepresentation of the facts in the Post newspaper story. Dr. Mumba's answers appear to have been deliberately picked out of context and rearranged to make an innocent statement look like he was attacking the UPND. Furthermore, some statements attributed to Dr. Mumba are a total fabrication. For example, the following statement, and I quote here, "Zambians are not blind. They are watching. They can see who are regional or tribal leaders from their actions and concentrations to particular provinces." This statement was never uttered by Dr. Mumba. We therefore challenge the Post newspaper to release a recording of the entire interview to the public and to the UPND so that everyone can know the truth. Second issue, the attack on Dr. Mumba by UPND President Mr. Hakainde Hichilema. You don't have to be frantic writing every single bit of this because we will be distributing copies of this. The Radio Phoenix 645 News Bulletin on the 31st of July 2014 carried a statement by UPND President Mr. Hakainde Hichilema, in which he viciously and disrespectfully attacked Dr. Mumba. And I quote, "What Mumba thinks he can do is by bringing tribal issues and thinks that that will make him president. No, the question he must answer is he capable to run the economy of Zambia? Because Mr. Sata has failed and Zambians want someone who can run the economy." And he continued to say a few disparaging remarks. Furthermore, in an email sent on 31st July 2014, the UPND president said the following, "What we know is that Dr. Mumba wants to use the UPND to help project the MMD in a more positive light, but we will not help him with this crusade. The MMD has flagging fortunes and we can understand his desperation." Those are the words of President Hakainde. Mr. Hichilema's emotional reaction was premised on the story in the Post, which is totally inaccurate as we have demonstrated. He veered off topic to launch a vicious personal attack on Dr. Mumba that was unnecessary. The Post story was deliberately crafted to get the exact unreasonable and unfortunate reaction that he has exhibited. We believe that a trap was set for him to react this way, and unfortunately, he took the bait and has now brought embarrassment on himself. We appeal as MMD. I make a personal appeal myself as National Secretary to Mr. Hichilema and the UPND to carefully reread the said Post articles, and they will find that none of the outbursts by Mr. Hichilema have any justification. It is most unfortunate that the two opted to begin firing from the hip before verifying the story. This is with another chairman on the Copper Belt. In sharp contrast, when we saw the vicious onslaught on the MMD from all angles by the Post last week, we resisted the temptation to immediately and emotionally react. These were the comments from Honourable Kabimba and others, but instead decided to remain calm and make a thorough investigation in the face of a flurry of calls from our supporters countrywide to immediately hit back. Our patience and reasonable approach, I think, will always pay off. Any individual vying for the presidency, such as Mr. Hichilema is, which involves caring for 14 million Zambians, needs to be presidential in handling important issues and demonstrate high levels of self-control. The unreasonable reaction demonstrated by Mr. Hichilema does not befit a candidate aspiring to the highest office in the nation. We in the MMD are a seasoned and experienced political party and are always striving to handle matters calmly and responsibly, irrespective of the amount of pressure that has been exerted on us. We always prefer to give everyone the benefit of doubt before concluding anything. This is a sign of wisdom and maturity in a political party. We consider the UPND as a partner, or at least we consider them as partners in providing checks and balances against the glaring abuses of the PF government, and we must not allow enemies of Zambia to divide us. We are supposed to be collectively providing checks and balances and not jabbing each other as we have been doing. Even though I am now doing the same, but I think that it is important that we have to clarify these matters. The most unfortunate part of Mr. Hichilema's outburst is his misguided estimation that the MMD's political fortunes are dwindling and that Dr. Mumba is attempting to use the UPND to recover some political mileage for our party. Nothing can be further from the truth. The UPND apparently believes that they have already arrived at plot 1 because they see themselves as the next in line after the MMD and the PF. Unfortunately for them, statistical data of election results since 2001 clearly shows them on a path of decline. They got 27% in 2001, 25% in 2006, 20% in 2008, and 18% in 2011. Their path to State House entails an upward swing of not less than 20 percentage points upwards after declining 9 percentage points. You understand what I'm saying? They have been declining for the last 6 elections, and in order for them to win the next elections, they have to go upwards by 20%. And this, in Zambian history, is unprecedented. You can look at your statistical analysis. You don't jump from 3% in the Copper Belt to having 25% the following year. And so you have to have some level of caution. This unbelievable upward swing is put into context when you consider that the UPND failed to even get 5% of the vote in 4 out of the 9 provinces in 2011. Namely, Copper Belt, they got 3.something%. In Eastern Province, they got 3.something%. In Luapula Province, they got 0.something%. In Northern Province, they got 0.8%, not even a percentage. Even in Lusaka, where they believe they are very popular, the UPND only managed 11%. So to suggest that they are going to upswing from 11% to 30% is wishful thinking on their part. We are not wishing them ill, but they should not do it at our expense, and it is not right. On the other hand, the path to victory for the MMD is much more assured, as we were within 6 percentage points of the PF in 2011. I shall be releasing a comprehensive article within the next 2 to 3 days looking at this analysis further, in which all the facts are presented, including the little-known fact that the MMD has increased in Lusaka by 15% since 2001. We have actually increased. Our last tally in Lusaka province in 2008 was 31%. So people should not get the impression that because we have not been defensive, we are on the decline. We intend to preserve our gains. Where the UPND, for example, in Lusaka, has dropped by 20% from 2001. We have increased by 15% in Lusaka from 2001 to now. They have dropped by 20% in that same year. So this courage that they are getting that somehow they are going to win the next elections and therefore everyone should ditch the MMD is again, I think, unfortunate. Let it be known that this is not the first time Mr. Hichilema has attacked us publicly. We have been restraining ourselves from responding until he went too far recently by calling us insane. As a leadership, we were not bothered by the name calling. We were not bothered by being called insane. That is within his armpit to call us insane. But by the fact that his statements are calculated to discourage our members and new members from joining us. The UPND strategy seems to appear is to scandalize the MMD so as to increase their political fortunes, in the hope that if we go away, they will be able to get our supporters. Unfortunately, it doesn't work like that. There are more than enough members of the political sphere for you to approach them. However, we shall always defend ourselves, and if need be, we shall fully expose the UPND for what they really are. My president, Dr Mumba, may be restrained. Maybe my colleagues, Honourable Chilangwa and Ambassador Musenge and so on, may be restrained. But I won't be restrained. Because we have to defend our party, and people cannot be making underhand methods when we are competing in the political arena. And I myself, when I think that I am right, no one can move me. That one I am prepared to do. If MMD is a dying party, as Mr. Hichilema says, then why is UPND constantly using underhand methods to compromise our members and enticing them to join the UPND? And I use the word enticing. For example, our candidate for the forthcoming 19th August by-election in Mwanza West Ward in Monze, Mr. Kilian Simonga, who was our candidate, was compromised by the UPND, and on the day of filing in of nomination papers, he did not show up, and we were, as a result, unable to contest that seat. Now, that is what I mean by underhand methods. If you feel that you're strong in Monze, which is your strong traditional area, why compromise a candidate from another political party? Why not compete and prove that the UPND will win and the MMD will lose? There's no need to be using underhand methods. Absolutely none. If MMD is finished, but UPND is such a popular party, why would they need to poach an MMD candidate at the last minute? These dirty political tactics of poaching members from other parties seem to have been picked up by the UPND during their short marriage to the PF. This makes the UPND potentially a worse governing party than the PF, if they were ever to be given the opportunity to govern, because they are exhibiting exactly the same behavior that the PF have been behaving. That is no respect for other political parties' rights. They will go and compromise your members of parliament, and yet they are doing the same. So given the same authority, do we think we would finish this series of by-elections that we are seeing? No. And yet they condemn it when the PF goes to get their MPs. Recently, there was a Mr. Elisha Matembo on the Copper Belt who said the following, and again I quote, Dr. Mumba is issuing such statements because he is very hurt that 90% of their members have crossed over to the UPND. This assertion is simply not true. It is wishful thinking. No 90% of members of the MMD have gone to the UPND. If it were true, the UPND would be the biggest political party in Zambia, and we all know that that is obviously untrue. We have no problem whatsoever, and I want you to hear me very clearly from the journalistic community here. We have absolutely no problem with MMD members defecting and joining to the UPND if they do so because of UPND having a superior message, better values, and a stronger political organization. Absolutely none. If our members are moving because they feel let down by us, if they feel that the UPND has got a better message, if they feel that the UPND has got values and so on, we would have no objection to it. It is a person's choice. But to deliberately undermine, to deliberately use underhand methods and tactics is where we have a problem with. Our concern is that the UPND is using underhand manipulative tactics while they are still in the opposition. And the question we have is, what more if they were to go into power? The MMD stands for a democratic party which respects the rights of other parties to exist. All those political parties that are based on messianic principles will not respect the democratic principles of this country, and that is what our concern is. Not because we are trying to be personal. This assertion, I think let us continue here and leave what is outside. This assertion is wishful thinking by Mr. Hichilema on his part, And if it were... Okay. All right. An emerging political party should be preoccupied with selling its vision and attracting new vibrant people, rather than boasting about people defecting from other political parties. We in the MMD do not need to convince anyone in other parties to defect and join us. Those that are coming to MMD are joining on their own because they can see the values and principles that we stand for. That is the reason why Honourable Chilangwa, Ambassador Msenge, Mr. Mtonga, Mr. Raffen, and myself, I'm in the MMD because of the values of the MMD and the principles of the MMD. I'm not here because I all of a sudden think that the MMD is going to be in power and therefore I must be opportunistic. That is why we are saying, if people want to go to the MMD because they think that they are the next rising star, even though the statistical data does not indicate it, they are welcome. Any individual is welcome, but you must belong to a party because you believe in its values. And we, as a democratic party, want to push that notion that you must be able to believe in something if you are a member of a political party. No matter how hard the situation is, you must remain a Republican if you believe in the ideals of the Republicans. You must remain a Democrat if you believe in the ideals of a Democrat. You must remain a conservative if you are a conservative. Don't go and join the MMD. Don't come and join the MMD simply because you think we are going to be the ones to form government. Come and join the MMD because you believe that dictatorship is wrong, messiahs are wrong, and you believe in the free market. Then we will welcome you and we'll be able to work together and move forward. Not because of elections. That is not the sort of culture that we want to inculcate. We have put together a strong, attractive message to the Zambian people who are evaluating the MMD and are appreciating our consistent message and making up their own minds. We will not engage in Stone Age politics of parading well-known professional defectors before cameras, unlike the UPND, which even parades people who have already been expelled from the MMD. Because they have times paraded people who have already, we expelled them, and then they parade them to say that they have joined the UPND. As has been the case one city. I was eating the soccer and so on. We expelled people there. 2 months later, they went there and said these people had defected to the UPND. These same people have since defected or something to the PF. A case in point is yesterday's defection to the UPND of 3 so-called bigwigs of the MMD, including former MMD Copperbelt Provincial Chairman Mr. Joseph Slump, who left this party more than 2 years ago. He has not been our member. And the former district commissioners, they have not been members of our party. Many of them went, immediately the MMD lost power. Those people who came to join MMD because they thought that there was food in the MMD because it was in power, immediately we lost. Many of them went to cross to the PF. And some of them have found that maybe it's not so bright there and are making movement. And those are the people you grab and start displaying that there's defection from the MMD. Our structure is fairly intact. And as I said, if you are going to attract members because they are coming to you for reasons that they believe in your thing, that's fine. But don't start creating situations that we are hemorrhaging as a party and 90% of our people are leaving, because it's simply not true. You know? Many of our members who defect to other parties eventually get to a point where they realize that MMD is the mother of democracy. From where they are born, when democracy was born, and must eventually return. We are already being approached by some of our former members in other political parties, and others have returned already. And you don't see us displaying them all the time to say these are the ones that have returned. You see them working. Our style is to use intelligent, thought-provoking debate and an engagement with our people to market the party's vision. That is the responsibility of the MMD. Now, that is said. Now, obviously, I've said a lot of things about this matter. We hold it with a great degree of concern that opposition political parties should be attacking each other on this basis. There's no need. Number 3, attacks on Dr. Mumba by PF Secretary General Winter Kabimba. Who is this?
What is
Okay, attacks on Dr. Mumba by PF Secretary General Winter Kabimba. I should hold on. Okay. Yeah. Oh, I see. I didn't just tell him. What they're trying to chase my niece. Huh? There's no need whatsoever.
They bring
Absolutely,
him
tell
come
him
in.
there's absolutely no need. Yeah?
Yes, he should come. There's no problem.
I mean, obviously, these are the sorts of things that we are trying to discourage in our new dispensation. Even if someone disagrees with you, in the case, I believe that Mr. Maimisa may have issued a statement negative some time ago, I think, regarding the party, and maybe people feel injured by it. And there is no need for you to come with very strong sentiments and not allow people to sit. And I'm sure that the majority of party members who are here sitting behind agree with that. But there will always be few people who obviously do not believe that a person can disagree with it. We as MMD are founded principally on the basis that you can disagree with someone and that he doesn't have to be your enemy. In as much as I am using very strong language, which is not an insult to Mr. HH, I respect his right. We as MMD here respect his right to do what he's doing. But we have to be able to expose what we think is uncouth within a political environment, which should be going a particular direction. I think that I will continue. Maybe they may not come back. I think that they will return if they so wish.
No, I think we'll just give them a few minutes. Have they allowed?
Are they coming back or?
They will come back.
Please?
Something about the document. It's not distributed to some journalists. Ladies and gentlemen, this document that has been distributed to you, it's also covered in the speech. So no need to even take this into account, okay? You'll be ably responded to. This thing has been ably responded to.
Yeah.
Thank you. But maybe we could wait for the others to come.
Okay, I think let us proceed. 3 attacks, there will be questions as well. 3 attacks on Dr. Mumba by PF Secretary General Winter Kabimba. On the 31st of July, 2014, edition of the Post carried the screaming headline, Mumba has always been a cheat, charges Kabimba. The first accusation made by the PF Secretary General, Mr. Winter Kabimba, in that article claimed that during the 2016 parliamentary elections, Dr. Mumba applied to contest as a member of parliament for Chinsali under PF and was rejected on nomination day. This is false and misleading. Now, obviously, earlier in my comments, I said that there were a number of things which were represented in the Post. I'm not saying that it is the Post view, but it was reported by the Post, and this is what I'm responding from. The truth is that Dr. Mumba, who was heading the Reform Party at that time, never applied to stand on the PF ticket, as Mr. Kabimba is claiming, but went to stand on the Reform Party, and he was even given an adoption certificate by the RP National Secretary. The PF fielded their own candidate, who happened to be related to Dr. Mumba. Dr. Mumba decided not to contest the seat in the interest of family unity. Again, to suggest that Dr. Mumba went there to try, it was reported so. Some people are mischievous. He did not try to stand on the PF ticket. It is untrue. In the second accusation, Mr. Kabimba has blatantly lied by claiming that Dr. Mumba secretly negotiated for the job of vice president after the 2001 elections, while he was spokesperson for a coalition of parties aggrieved with the election results. The truth is that the coalition only existed for a few months in early 2002, during which time there was no such discussion. After those few months, these political parties, I think Heritage took a matter to court, UPND took another matter to court. The coalition had finished, and it is completely and totally untrue to suggest that he was, as the spokesperson, went to negotiate. There were no such negotiations. It was only several months later, after this thing had finished, that the MMD approached the National Citizen Coalition Party that Dr. Mumba was heading at the time to discuss a merger. After 7 months of negotiations between the two parties, the terms of the merger were agreed upon, which culminated in Dr. Mumba being appointed vice president in 2003. Not in 2001, in 2002. In 2003. And NCC key members fused into the MMD party structures that were included in the National Executive Committee, with some appointed to serve in government. That is what happened. It is a statement of fact. It is not a fabrication. And for Mr. Kabimba to bring this up again, he is being mischievous. In the third accusation, Mr. Kabimba claimed that our party president chanced the MMD presidency. He claimed that our party president chanced the MMD presidency. This is simply not true, because in the entire MMD hierarchy, it is not possible to be a chancer due to the strong democratic selection process we have in the party constitution. Nobody in the MMD is appointed to the presidency, unlike the PF, unlike the UPND. Nobody is appointed here, so they cannot be a chancer. There are elections in the MMD every 5 years, and someone has to win an election. It is not possible to be a chancer in the MMD due to the democratic selection process we have in the party. After his 3-year absence from Zambia as High Commissioner to Canada and the Caribbean islands, Dr. Mumba returned home after a 6-month grassroots campaign. He contested and won the MMD presidency with 70% of the vote in a 50+1 electoral system. This was not by chance. His political success and popularity are due to his wide knowledge of every part of Zambia gained from his popular countrywide crusade under Victory Ministries, which has made him a household name. And this is the standard practice in the MMD. There are no messiahs in our party, and we take strong objections to people who are undemocratic saying that they should be given the opportunity to govern, or people who are undemocratic saying that people in the MMD are by chance. You know the amount of upheaval, in a sense, I can put it, that resulted only for us to elect a national secretary. It was not an appointment. And we knew that these difficulties will arise in a democracy. But we didn't say, no, because there will be some disturbances, let us just appoint. We didn't. We had to go through what our constitution says. And that is respecting your own documents. Not saying you respect the constitution and you give it in 90 days and you decide not to give it. We respect our institutions and we respect our democracy. And we want our country, in this country, to uphold the values of democracy. We do it in our party and we expect the same in other political parties. Furthermore, his tenure as vice president of Zambia exposed him to every corner of Zambia and gave him more in-depth knowledge of the challenges faced by the rural population. This is the reason why Dr. Mumba's stronghold is the grassroots, as that is where the rural issues and power base for any political party are. And if there will be any tendencies of having his popularity tested, it will be, because that is the MMD way of doing things. As for Mr. Kabimba, he has never been subjected to any election, but only appointed to every position that he has held. Sure. He was appointed Zambian Republican Party Vice President. He was appointed Secretary General of the PF, nominated as a Member of Parliament, appointed as Justice Minister, and now some elements within the PF are accusing him of attempting to appoint himself as a successor to President Michael Sat. Those are accusations from the PF, okay? All of this in spite of the fact that in 1996 he lost a bid for the Mumba constituency parliamentary seat in his own home area. So who is the chancer here? A person who goes through an electoral process, or a person who gets appointed all the time and has nothing? There is no comparison, no basis whatsoever. Mr. Kabimba's claim that PF won the 2011 election with a landslide is a figment of his imagination. Mr. Sata won by a mere 183,000 votes, which gave him a 6% margin over our former president, Rupiah Band. 6% margin. In a poorly attended election that recorded 54% voter turnout. 54% voter turnout. By comparison, President Levi Mwanawasa's 2 elections had 68 and 71% turnout respectively. And he beat Mr. Sata by 14% margin in 2006. By definition, a landslide means a margin of victory of 10% or above. That is what a landslide is, or more. Mr. Kabimba's definition of a landslide is obviously different from ours, or from the international standard of what a landslide is. So, again, there is delusion, and that is also the reason why we gave the statistical data that we gave earlier. The pattern of a party performing can only be assessed upon to what it performed before. You don't jump from 2 to 40. The PF were able to win by 6% from one election to the other. And it's not a landslide. They beat us, we accepted defeat, and we are ready, as a champion fighter, which was a champion, to retrain and to get back into the ring and to win. We know that it will be hard. We are under no illusions. But we are going to be civil about it. We are not going to behave as criminals or people who don't believe in democratic principles in order to do that. Our observation of Mr. Kabimba is that he is one of the most destructive forces we have ever had in Zambian politics. And I can even say because I've said here our, to show that this is not my statement alone. This is the statement of the MMD. But personally, I can also say that I believe that Mr. Kabimba is one of the most destructive forces we have ever had in Zambian politics. And is the individual who has largely contributed to the sharp decline in PF's popularity. He has been the chief architect of the confusion surrounding the constitutional making process and is singularly responsible for attempting to turn a people-driven constitution into a PF government white paper. The people of Zambia did not want a white paper. It was very clear. The other processes in the past went through hurdles because the people of Zambia made it very clear that they did not want a white paper, that they wanted government to have no say on what will be in the document. And that is the reason NCC, and that is the reason even why President Sata appointed a technical committee, so that there will be no underhand playing. He was on ZNBC yesterday saying that this thing is going to go to government and only when government advises him. He is singularly responsible for misadvising the president, for misadvising the PF, and turning a people-driven constitution, which we demand, into a government white paper, which is what everyone does not want. And that is why we say that he's probably one of the most destructive people. The Zambian people want a constitution. And we demand for the draft constitution to be released immediately. Yes. And not hiding under the pretext that he will get administration. He says on ZNBC that it is like when somebody is applying for leave. Well, we don't care about his leave. We want our constitution. And we want it to be released immediately. This is a great tragedy, what Mr. Kabimba is doing on the constitution. We demand for the immediate release of the draft constitution. As Minister of Justice and third in the hierarchy of the PF party, he has lamentably failed to provide effective leadership surrounding the recent mishandling of the presidential's medical trip to Israel, has not been able to handle it well. The confusion in the judiciary, the Public Order Act and the abuse of the public order by the police, all of us have been victims of it. And the wasteful by-elections that are going on in this country now, because Mr. Winter Kabimba decided to petition and instruct everyone to petition seats. He's the one who's responsible, an enormous amount of money. Now, that sort of behavior is very retrogressive for a country. The sooner President Michael Sata finds a substitute replacement for this position, the better for the PF and its declining image, and the better for all of us who want to enjoy our democratic rights. That is the position of the MMD. Fourth, and the last issue, before we go into questions and answer session. The report carried by the Post newspaper on 29th July 2014, attributed to Home Affairs Deputy Minister and Member of Parliament for Kawamba, Honourable Nixon Chilangwa, asserted that Dr Mumba and his campaign team, which was in the province recently, were making his disability a campaign tool. Another article in the Post on 31st July 2014, attributed to the Disability Rights Watch coordinator Bruce Choma, said he had noted with great disappointment the reported mocking of Honourable Chilangwa by suspected MMD cadres at a political rally in Kawamba. We note with regret that Honourable Chilangwa singled out Dr Mumba as using his disability as a campaign tool. Dr Mumba does not know Honourable Chilangwa and was not even aware that he is a disabled person. We wish to explain the kind of person Dr Mumba is with regard to his passion for people with disabilities. When serving as Republican Vice President, Dr Mumba was instrumental, and this you can verify, in introducing the sign language interpreter for the deaf on ZNBC. Main news. An innovation that is still being used 10 years later. During the period, Dr Mumba also championed the provision of ramps in buildings for use by wheelchair-bound people, which has now become mandatory. After leaving office, Dr Mumba, together with Dr Kenneth Kaunda, received an award for championing the cause of the disabled. In this first part, which we are releasing together with my statement, we have a DVD with copies of the 19th anniversary celebration of Matthew 25 Ministries, an organization founded by Mama Inonge Nawa that is dedicated to helping the physically challenged. Dr Mumba was a guest of honor at this event held in Mississippi Compound earlier this year. And as you watch this video, we hope you will get an insight into the heart of Dr Mumba towards disabled people. To suggest that he would make a disability a cause of campaign is very unfortunate. We bear with you, given the fact that the DVD is not done professionally, but I think that the message will be sent because it was of an event. This video has been posted, as this statement will be, on our MMD party website, which is www.mmdzambia.org, and on our Facebook page at www.facebook.com/mmdzambia. All Zambians are hereby invited to watch it and judge for themselves whether Dr Mumba is a man that could have used Honourable Chilangwa's disability as campaign tool. We take advantage of this occasion to tell our supporters and the nation that MMD, under the leadership of President Nevas Mumba, is introducing modern politics in Zambia based on mutual respect, that we must all respect each other. I and Mr. Kabimba must respect each other. HH and Dr Mumba must respect each other. Dr Mumba, HH and President Sata must respect each other. There's no need for us to be vile to each other. Violence and mud-singing is something that we should leave in the past. We should leave that in the past, like what was trying to attempt to do. And I have no shame myself to say that he's trying to go, because we are going through a process of restructuring. We do not want a society to be a violent society where people cannot learn to disagree. You can see, I as an individual, I'm a very disagreeable person. I disagree with everyone. I disagree with anyone, even if you are the most powerful in the world, I'll disagree with you. Because the rights of man says that a man must be able to disagree without him being threatened to be killed, or to be chased, or to be hammered. Which are the rights we are enjoying in this country under the MMD, and we are not enjoying them under the PF now. And that is not a veiled accusation. We had a Mr. Zambia organization to discuss a simple topic, which was cancelled under threat. We cannot nowadays go to a meeting in rural areas especially without informing the police, and yet the Public Order Act doesn't say that. We can't meet. There are times that people can come here and disperse us. What sort of a democracy is that? And we are saying no to this. Anyone who wishes to be a member of our party, our supporters of the MMD, must adhere to the vision of non-violence, of respect for others, and of not mudslinging and insulting no one. Let us deal with the facts. Like what I have said about the UPND. I have not insulted them. I have just given a statistical analysis. Pure. If they wish to dispute that statistical analysis, they can counter it. And it's within the realms of politics. But I don't have to start calling them mad or insane or whatever. That is uncalled for. Completely and totally unclosing. In my closing remarks, and I'm sorry that I've kept you longer than I had intended to, I equally apologize to my colleagues in front. I wish to thank all of you once again for attending this press briefing. We shall now take some questions, and Mr. Njovu can be responsible for that. Please, you are welcome.
Thank you. We are going to take questions. And the procedure is what has been in the past. Name, institution, and question. Please ask one question. Yes, my lady, be the first to ask.
My name is Umutomboko from MMD. I just wanted to find out from you. When you are making a statement, you said something like you exposed the UPND, and then you referred to some underhand methods. I just wanted you to be specific on that.
But I have explained in the statement that, for example, there is this situation in Monze, where we selected our candidate, and on the day of filing of nominations, our candidate took off. Okay? Now, we had provided him, during the whole process of preparations, of identifying the candidate, we all went through the process of identifying a candidate. He was our member. On the day of filing of nomination, while we were filing, we made a deliberate choice not to participate in the two in the Western Province, I believe. In Monze, we did not participate because our candidate was compromised. And all investigation, we sent a team of the provincial chairman, Mr. Pelete, and the provincial team to go to Monze to find out what had transpired. And we have irrefutable information that he was compromised by the UPND. As a result, we could not find a candidate last minute. That is what I mean by underhand methods. There is an aggressive approach to our members. All of us have been approached, even me. I have been approached, I can tell you that. And sometimes when we are approached, there are offers of great things that can be done. And I have said to my colleagues that I do not belong to the MMD because I think that it's the next party to win. I believe we have got a clear path to winning more than the PF and more than the UPND. Whether people believe it or not, because this is election, there will be an election and we will all compete. I believe that the confidence that we will restructure, we will be ready for the election. But even if we do not win in 2016, and even if it were for some reason the UPND will win, for me as an individual, I would not join the MMD on the basis that they will win. Because I don't believe in their principles.
This compromise, does it involve, do you think it involves money?
Well, I cannot say. I think that you are probably the best judge of the Zambian characteristic, okay, as to whether it involves money or not. But it is underhand. Because we are not going to UPND officials and enticing them to come here. I mean, we have had meetings with, in Chipata Central, for example, we had a pact with the UPND once for them to support our candidate, Mr. Mtolo Pili. And I think we stayed out of one. The UPND people worked with us closely. Not a single moment did any of us take the advantage to begin to persuade them to join us. And we know that our colleagues on the opposite side were busy trying to persuade our people to join them. Now, of course, it is within their right. As I said, it's within their right to say, come over. And if a member leaves on the basis of a principle, it is all right. But if a member leaves because he's been promised that, no, your court cases will be paid for, we will help you with your court cases, then there is something wrong with that situation. So that is what I mean by using underhand method. In a political organization, people are free to leave. And we will accept that. If Mr. Canisius Banda, he was our member here. He left. We tried to persuade him not to leave. When we meet, I talk to him all the time. I'm not against the fact that he left. Because my assumption is that he left for a principle. Okay? And when President HH said that we were insane, I complained to my colleague when we were at the MISA thing, that how can the president say this about his colleagues? And then the following day you expect us to sit together to say, let's have an agreement. And he said, no, it's because Dr. Kayingu is the one who started it by saying that you are MMD enemy number one because you are poaching our members. So we said, well, Dr. Kayingu was merely responding to the fact that we have information, even by people who have refused to cross, that that you approach them and you offer them things, and that is not right, and you can imagine. Again, I'm re-emphasizing, and I am being very strong. If a political party will behave like this outside power, what will they behave like when they have the instruments of power? That is all I'm saying. What will they behave like if they have the instruments of power? And then you expect me to kneel down before the feet of Mr. HH and say, you are the Alaisa. I know that my rights will be infringed if this man goes into power. Because obviously he believes that unless people worship him, the rest of us are insane. And that is the point that we are making. Not that we are caring whether we are insane or not, but it is just too much. Yes, my dear.
Can I have a lady again? And then Warren.
Yeah.
I just wanted to put the so-called statements that Mr. Hichilema had made. He actually refuted that he never said those statements. And just yesterday in the briefing, during the briefing, he said that he is enjoying relationship with Dr. Mumba, and today you've come out like that. Now, the other thing, the one thing that I just want you to clarify is, because all the statements that you've made are coming from the Post newspaper, but one which is coming from Radio Phoenix. Would you then say maybe it is the media that is trying to bring confusion between political parties?
Well, at this point, you know that a fight can only be exacerbated by the media if they smell that there is a fight. Okay? In all my criticism of the Post newspapers, and you know I have written articles about certain editorial comments in the Post newspapers, I would, in this particular case, not rush to the conclusion that it is the Post that are trying to instigate. I think that the Post is taking opportunity of it is like a shark that has smelled blood in the water. It will come. But there is blood in the water. It's not a shark that has created the blood. Okay? It has just smelled it. And as for his denial, okay, I was on Lunza Radio and I said to people that when colleagues of mine started calling, I had several calls on the issue of him calling us mad and so on. I also refuted. I said, I don't think that President HH said that. I refuted it until I heard it by myself on the radio. Now, a voice of someone on the radio like you're recording me cannot lie. Okay? So if it's better to say, I made a mistake. Or I meant to say something else, rather than for you to say I didn't say it. Because you are in recording. We have challenged the Post over an issue, over a particular quote which was not said. And if the Post is able to reproduce it, me, I will be the first to apologize. Because I've listened to the recording and tried to see where that incident was said, and I have not heard it. And others, I've given it to others to hear it. Where did he say this? And we have not heard it. So if people will prove that what we have said is inaccurate, I will be the first to apologize. Because people think that politics is a dirty game. It doesn't have to be dirty. We make it dirty because we choose to make it dirty. And because people think that, no, Zambians want a dirty game, a pastor who is a preacher cannot be a good president because Zambian political is dirty. Our responsibility is to make politics clean. That is what our responsibility is. Yes. It is not to acquiesce to the wrong things that are being done. We have to try and do our best to make things better. No, not because everyone is a scoundrel, everyone jumps, therefore I must jump. You know that, for me as an example, as an individual, one of the accusations they always say about me is that I always make the wrong decision and support parties that are dying. And I say to them, it is the principle. I believe in something that is fundamentally right. If every Zambian is supposed to believe that immediately a political party is seen to be rising, we must all go there, regardless of whether you believe in democracy, they believe in freedom, then what sort of a society are we going to build? That is a question we have to ask. Should I go to a political party because it is apparently winning and they don't believe in democracy? No, sir. I believe in democracy. Dr. Mumba, I can defend him today using all my authority because he's constitutionally elected. If he will not be president another time, we will defend that president with all the strength to defend him because it is our constitution. Regardless of whether there is, and I keep on repeating this, the Zambian people have to be very careful. We put a man into office by the name of President Sata because we thought he was our Messiah. That is what we thought. We thought that this man was an action man. Once he comes, everything will change. We'll all be a heaven. We were excited about it. He went there, and every one of you are the judge of what has happened. Not even me. Because if I say, you will say I'm lying. But everyone knows what has happened. Now, the PF are busy taking credit for the projects we started. And of course, they've added a few. Okay? But that is not why they were elected. They were not elected for finishing the Mongo-Kalao Road, which we started. That's not what they were elected. They were not elected to finish hospitals, which they said they would fundamentally transform the lives of Zambians. And they have not done so. The Messiah has failed. Now, here comes another Messiah who is claiming that he has the economic wisdom to change everyone. And then some people want to say, okay, we are going there. I know I'm overdoing this, but I'm making a point. And I know that some of you may take my comments further, but I'm prepared to defend them. I'm prepared to defend them. Because MMD is fundamentally a party that belongs in democracy. Now, let me stop there and not appear to be lecturing to you.
I just want to find out how long this war quarreling between these two political parties will take. Because it would appear today you are actually complaining about what the UPND has been saying about it. And I'm sure there will be a reaction. The UPND will also be talking about it. But it's opposition political parties. Mm-hmm. And in the name of unity, when do you hope to stop attacking each other?
Okay.
And begin discussing things that can do for the country?
Mr. Simwaka, let me put it this way. And all of you may be able to help us as you write this story. That if a man continues going to kick a dog that is sleeping alone there, and constantly you go kick it and it walks away, then you follow it where it has gone there to sleep, you go kick it away, it gets off and goes somewhere else, and you go kick it again. Do you think that the fourth time you do it, it will not react? And if it reacts, are you going to accuse that dog of being violent? Huh? I mean, you can't. I mean, we are not the aggressors in this issue. And our colleagues have made it very clear that as far as they are concerned, to approach other people's members by any means necessary is allowed. That's what they've said. Now, if we are to sit and say, okay, it's all right, we are going to allow it because we want peace, then what we are saying is that we cannot defend our organization. And our organization, we are not defending it because we want to be MPs. We are defending it because our organization stands for something that is important for this country. This organization stands for something that is important for this country. democracy, and the rule of law, which the UPND and the PF do not have. So we should destroy an organization which believes in democratic principles and go follow others who do not. We have to defend our time. So for us, our intention is not to continue perpetually fighting. We've only come out to this extent to expose what has been happening. Our preoccupation henceforth, okay, maybe next week and whatever, we will continue to reorganize and regroup our party. If the UPND will continue to go compromise our structures, that is their joy. We will begin to just remake our structures. And we have said that we do not mind, I don't mind, if our members decide to go to the UPND on volition that they think they are offering a better message. What we mind is the methodology, which is not. So you cannot blame us, Mr. Simwaka, for wanting to protect our institution. We are not aggressive to them, and I've given you examples. But the others are head on a hill on compromising us. So should we be the victims and just say it's all right? No, I don't think that it is right. So that is all I'm saying. So our aim is not to fight. As I said, in another 2-3 days, I'm going to release an article, which I have written, making a clear assessment of the chances of the MMD and the chances of the PF and the chance. It's an assessment of who's got the greater chance. And people can read and say, we disagree with you. It's the armpit of democratic principles, not insulting anyone. Okay? Because it appears to me, and I will stop there so that others can work, and the reason why we have been very strong, that the fundamental belief of our colleagues is that unless the MMD is not there, their chances of winning is compromised. So in order to enhance their chances of winning, they must make sure that the MMD is not there. And that is a destruction of democracy. Okay? Are there any other questions?
Any question you had raised, Johan? MDC. Okay. Any more questions, ladies and gentlemen, from the press? We don't have questions. Can I?
You are all satisfied?
Can I, through the chair, ask? You made the promise that you were going to make a remark.
No, only if there was some clarification, but I think that we've made the clarification. The statement is available for you to carry. There is also the DVDs which we've promised, and as I said, I have gone to great length to defend the party presidency here. And again, I'm also saying this statement only because I'm re-emphasizing the issue of the democracy of the MMD. It is not my responsibility as National Secretary to be so preoccupied in defending the presidency, because we're an institution, okay? And that is one of the reasons why Mr. Rafa Nakachinda has been appointed. So any queries over the president's office and whatever, he will be responsible for those statements. Thank you very much.